Hey y'all, hey. So I have been encouraged to go ahead and start my little YouTube channel, which is going to serve as a kind of like a vlog, a personal vlog, um, while I journey through my breast cancer and my treatment. So I will be, sometimes I'll be talking awareness and advocacy. Sometimes I just might be spilling my thoughts and just releasing some things that's on my mind. It'll serve as inspiration, education, and sometimes I just be downright silly because everything is a joke to me. So, with that being said, I am 33 years old. I'll be 34 this year. And on January 19, 2020, I was diagnosed with two types of breast cancer, ductal carcinoma in situ, as well as invasive ductal carcinoma. I am in early stages of both. One is stage 0, and the other is stage 1 with a growth pattern to stage 2. Even though it's early though, when you check my chart and you see those results, because that's how I came to learn of this. I checked my chart before the doctor had the opportunity to call me. It's heart shattering. It's mind blowing. You start to go through so many different emotions. It's fear, like you're scared because it's the unknown. You don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know what this journey is going to entail. I started thinking about my children. I started thinking about my family. My grandparents are everything to me. And, they're older. Like, how is this going to impact them? Just started thinking about people closest to me. Is it going to spread? Has it already spread? How long have I been living with this inside of my body and I haven't known? Is it in my lymph nodes? Did it get into my bloodstream? Like, these are all these thoughts that's going through your mind, right? Is insurance going to cover treatment? What's treatment going to look like? And so, like, that first day on January 19th was very emotional. Probably like the first 2 days were really, really emotional for me. And not just for me, but people that are close to me. They were emotional as well, which there was one group that was emotional and I haven't even talked to them. Like, not a single one of them have asked me how I'm doing, if I need anything. But anyway, moving on. So I told you I'm silly. So this is authentically me. There's not going to be no edits, no scripts, no none of that. This is me, honey. I'm an authentic individual. So y'all going to get the real. But, it wouldn't be me if it wasn't a little bit of shade. Because I'm like, I did all that crying and ain't checked on me yet. But moving on. So, since January 19th, I have been to several doctor's appointments. I had an MRI done 2 days after my diagnosis to see if there has been any spread anywhere else. So right now, the good news is there has not been any spread to my brain, my lungs, in my blood. And what they can see right now, it's not in any lymph nodes. So that reassured me a little bit. Like, I could breathe a little bit easier. So one of the things that people have been asking me, because there's been a lot of questions, and I don't mind the questions. There's been a lot of questions. The first question that people ask me is how? How? Okay. So I know sometimes people don't know what to say in certain situations. How? Like, y'all, I got boobs. That's how. So let's talk about the how for a second. All right, so we know I have boobs. That's how we get breast cancer. We have breasts, and men can get breast cancer too. 70% of breast cancer is spontaneous. There's another percentage that comes from like environmental factors, and then about 5 to 10% of women who have breast cancer, it's actually genetic. So because I'm 33 and because I have breast cancer and because I have cancer that runs in my family, I did have to take a genetic test because they wanted to see if my cancer is genetic, so then we could alter treatment if need be, and then to also make sure that cancer does not develop anywhere else in my body, i.e. uterine, ovarian, things like that. So they don't know yet exactly how I got cancer other than I have breast, right? So I don't have those answers, to be honest, right now, but waiting on my genetic test to come back so then I could be able to say like, oh, I got it because it's genetic, or I got it just because it's spontaneous and it's just what happened to fall upon me, right? So I don't know. But the next question that I'm asked, and I appreciate this question, is how did I find out? So let's unpack that for a second. One of the things that is important, especially as women, as Black women, is you have to have a care team around you that knows that you are your strongest advocate when it comes to your health care. One thing about me, I'm overall healthy, as they like to say. I do have some medical issues outside of cancer. I have Graves' disease. I have a Hashimoto's disease together, which that's rare. Asthma, and some other health stuff going on. But overall, I'm healthy because I keep myself healthy. I work out every day. And if not every day, at least 3 days out of the week, I try to shoot for 4. I eat right. Being a trainer, like I definitely eat right, but I love my chicken wings, don't trip. But I know my body. I'm really, really in tune with my body. So, given that information, let's travel back. December 2019, I was in the shower and I was just doing some self-checks and I felt a lump on my left breast. So I feel my right one. I don't feel the same lump, but I felt like a little something over here, but I'm like, I don't know, this feels weird. So I made a doctor's appointment to my OB and I told him like, hey, I felt a lump over here. So he feels around and he wrote me a prescription to get a mammogram. And of course I had to have the prescription to get the mammogram because at the time I was only 32. So, he writes the prescription, and January the 7th, 2020, I went and had my first mammogram. So let's walk through this process because I'm going to tell you how this process was different than the process that I just went through January 9th, 2021. So when I went to go get my first mammogram ever in my life, I go, they put you on the machine, they kind of smash you up. I don't really have a lot anyway, so I'm like, ugh. So they kind of smashed you up in there and they were like, okay, you have dense breasts, but that's not uncommon for a woman your age. We'll call you if we see anything. Right now, we don't see anything. So I'm like, okay, cool. Get my results back like 2 days later. Everything was everything. Like they didn't find nothing. So fast forward, probably about maybe September-ish, maybe October 2020, I noticed that my baby couldn't lay his head on my left side, which is something that he likes to do because he likes to listen to my heartbeat. But I noticed that it hurt for him to do that. So I would be laying there and I would be like doing some self-checks. And I started noticing that I had more lumps in there than I had in December 2019. So again, advocating for your body and being your biggest advocate. I waited. I wanted to wait because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't due to my cycle. So I waited 2 cycles. And I was like, okay, this hurts. I'm still feeling these lumps. So I scheduled a doctor's appointment by now, after I wait these 2 cycles, it's now December 2020. I scheduled this doctor's appointment before Christmas. And I'm sharing with my doctor that, hey, I have more lumps. They feel around. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to schedule you for another mammogram. But I'm like, my mammogram is about to come up in January, because once you have one mammogram, they usually schedule you for a second one, especially if you have a history of cancer in your family. So I get scheduled for my second mammogram, but she's like, oh, did you have an ultrasound last time? And I'm like, no. So my doctor, and it was the nurse that works in his office, so they ordered for me to have an ultrasound. Cool. So fast forward January 9th, 2021, I go and get my mammogram. What I'm thinking in my mind is kind of going to be like the same routine mammogram process. That's not what it was. I went in, they did the regular mammogram, because there's a couple different types of mammograms you can get. A 3D mammogram being, you know, like next level. They did the regular mammogram, and the tech was like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go speak to the radiologist to see if they would like more images. So me being a person who pays attention to everything, like you literally can't get nothing past me, I'm like in my head, like they didn't do that last time, so I'm just waiting to see what's up. So she comes back in and she's like, so she's changing the machine, and I'm sitting there like, well, this is interesting, because last time we didn't do all of this. So she's like, I'm gonna have you come stand back over here. Child, I found out that was the 3D mammogram. Honey, when I tell you, that is not no joke, especially for little people. That, whoo, baby. So they put me on this machine. They doing this 3D mammogram. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. And also, let's not forget, my left breast hurts anyway. So I'm like, Lord, help me. But I noticed that they're focusing more on my left side than they are my right. Again, I pay attention to everything. So I'm knowing something is going on. So she gets finished with that, and she's like, okay, we're going to walk you down to ultrasound, which of course I was already scheduled to get. So they walk me down to ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech, she's, you know, doing her thing, but she like hits the right side real quick, but like she's spending a lot of time on this left side, and I hear click, 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 click. Now, if you've ever gotten an ultrasound before, you know those clicks is them taking pictures. Click, click, click. So I keep hearing it. So she steps out. Then she comes back in, and she's like, I'm going to get some more images. Okay. All right, sis, do your thing. Like, did you not have enough? Like, but she went out to go talk to the radiologist. So she gets her images, and then she goes, the radiologist might come in and speak with you. Sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't. Now, y'all, again, nothing gets past sis. I'm like, this is not 1942. Doctors are not coming in to tell you to have a great day and to drive home safe. Time is money now. If a doctor comes in and talks to you, it's because something is going on. So the radiologist comes in, right? He's watching her do her thing and take pictures, but he's watching the screen. So he's asking me some questions as he's watching her. So then he goes, yeah, we're going to schedule you for a biopsy because we want to test the tissue to make sure that nothing is going on. Then he says, but not to say that something is going on. Y'all, come on. Not to say nothing is going on, but we just want to make sure. So I'm like, okay, cool. Get the biopsy all taken care of, schedule. On the 15th, the day of my biopsy, they're like, you might not have to have a biopsy. So I'm going to lead with the positive, but I'm also a realist. So I'm like, I'm going to lead with the positive, but I'm probably going to have a biopsy because this is me. Like, stuff always happens to me. So I go in to have the conversation first with the breast surgeon. And she's like, I reviewed your images. She said, I reviewed the ones from your first mammogram and the ones from your second mammogram. And she said, your calcifications in your left breast have increased since last year, and you have none in your right breast. She was like, so we're going to do the biopsy because my concern is a precancerous concern. And see, I like doctors that are real with me. Let's not beat around the bush and act like nothing is wrong. If something is potentially wrong, let's just keep it real with each other. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. I expect for you to keep it real with me, right? So I appreciated her for doing that. because I didn't want to go into this biopsy thinking like, oh, everything is about to be just hunky-dory, okay, like I'm gonna walk out of here good. No, they're cutting into me for a reason. So she was like, we're definitely going to do the biopsy. She's like, but first you're going to have another ultrasound because I want to make sure no stone goes unturned. So I'm like, okay. So I go in to have the ultrasound. Y'all, this was a 30-minute ultrasound, and I knew like, okay, something is going on. So this is a 30-minute ultrasound, literally 30 minutes. So remember authenticity? It's my baby. So we do this 30-minute ultrasound, and again, click, 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 click. Just clicking, clickety clack, clickety clack. So this ultrasound tech, she steps out and she's like, I'm gonna go get the radiologist to see if the radiologist has anything any other images that she wants me to get. So she goes out to get the radiologist. Well, before Sis could come back in, the radiologist, I see, baby. The radiologist is coming in, washing her hands. And I'm back. Because if I didn't handle little baby, he was going to talk through this whole video. He wanted some milk. Mama got to do mama duties. Anyway, so the radiologist comes in, and she's already washing her hands, like, as she's introducing herself. And she's like, hey, she was like, you know, I want to do an ultrasound biopsy. So I'm like in my head, like, well, what type of biopsy was we doing? So she was like, you were scheduled to get a mammogram biopsy. And I'm like, well, I was today years old when I found out there were 2 different types of biopsies. So she's like, but we're going to do an ultrasound biopsy because I don't like the images that I'm seeing, and I want to test that tissue as well. So I'm like, okay. So of course you're a little bit nervous, but you're just trying to breathe through it. Like, I mean, what can you do at that time? Nothing. So you just kind of breathe through it or whatever. And they do both of the biopsies. And at the end, before I was about to be discharged, the nurse said to me, you may see your results on my chart, but if you see something that scares you, wait until the doctor calls you. Okay. So you done already told me that I'm going to see something. So that was January 15th. So I kind of put it in the back of my mind. And then, you know, January 19th, like I said, that's when I received my official diagnosis. And the doctor did end up calling me. She called me 2 hours after I already read the results. And so that is the how I found out. Just really being in tune with my body and just putting myself in a position to have a care team that really knows that I'm concerned about my health, and that I expect for them to be as concerned as I am about my health. If my OB had not written me that first prescription, you know, who knows what would have happened if I did not know my body, and if I did not do regular self-checks, who knows what could have happened? Who knows how long this could have gone on? So that's the how. And you know, every day for me, it changes. It's like living with cancer. It's like you are doing your everyday routine, because I haven't started treatment yet. So it's like you're doing your everyday routine, but sometimes you get really tired, like really fatigued. And then other times, you know, you have like these energy bursts. Sometimes you don't have an appetite because there's so much going on in your head. Like at other times your mood changes and you don't really want to be bothered. And just like so many thoughts. Like I'm a single woman. I have 3 boys, one of which is 2, about to be 3. And you can't reason with no toddler. Like, have you ever tried to reason with a toddler? It don't work. So I have young kids. So it's like, this has also impacted them, which we're going to do a candid conversation about how they feel and how they felt when I shared my diagnosis with them, because we do real things in this house. This is not something that I was going to keep from them. And I broke it down to them in a way that they could understand. And I also shared with them that, I mean, right now, mommy is not going to die. So, you know, like, we're going to fight this thing. We're going to, you know, got life to live. But of course, they're kids. They're scared. And so, you know, it's a journey. It's a process. So people have asked me, like, every day, like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? For the most part, mentally, emotionally, I'm great. Physically, like I said, I'm tired. I try to work out every day, but I also listen to my body a little bit more now than I did before. And I don't push myself as hard. If I work out, I work out. If I don't, I don't. But on all days, I'm going to take a nap. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's what we're here for. Welcome to my channel. And I'm going to post like some home videos that I had already taken the first couple days, and just to share a little bit about, you know, like how I was feeling more in that moment. Because them first 2 days was rough. But now my head is in the game. I came off the ropes swinging. I'm going to fight this thing out. And we are T-strong.